Loyalty. Loyalty is love expressed in time, over time, no matter what. You're not helping anybody. If help of various types, social work, humanitarian work, revolutionary work, if these things could change the world should have changed long ago, because so many social workers and revolutionaries and religious leaders have come and gone, yet the world continues to be a place of sorrow and suffering. It has not happened because we are nobody to really change the world. Or you're watching a comedy and you laugh again and again. So you never check your watch. So what does it mean? Laughter establishes your connection with timelessness. And what is timelessness? Eternity. What is eternity? The divine. So laughter is in connection with the divine. My dear brothers and sisters, the love and blessings of the Mother and Sri Aurobindo to all of you from Sri Aurobindo Ashram, Delhi branch. The title of today's session is Why Good and Bad Things Happen to All the People. You might have heard of a famous book by Harold Kushner, Why Bad Things Happen to Good People. And the explanation which the author has given, I haven't read the book, but you can always get the gist from Wikipedia these days. So that's what I've done. The gist of the book is that the author says that although God would like only good things to happen to good people, but still bad things do happen to good people because God is powerless to prevent all evil. This is a rather courageous and heretic statement because all religions believe that God is all-powerful. Here he's saying that God is powerless to prevent evil. And that's why he has been criticized also a lot. We'll not get into that argument, but even if we don't go by his argument, the fact is that bad things do happen to good people. Good people do not get immune to a road accident or a financial loss or litigation or what have you, including early death. The common saying is that the good die young. They don't always do. Many very fine people live very long. I saw one example only yesterday, at least one example yesterday. Satish Kumarji, a Jain monk who is 89 and still going strong. So it's not that all good have to die young. But anyway, the fact is that being good does not make us immune to so many so-called misfortunes of life, which we call bad things happening. And we have many explanations for why this happens, that it is because we need some of those bad things for spiritual growth, and it's because a person who is good can handle much more of difficulties and hardships and problems than a person who is not so good, and also that God loves those people who are good. And that's why they get all these difficulties, because, if, say, you find children doing some naughty things, whom do you scold? Your own child, not the neighbor's child. So those who are God's own, those are the ones who get punishment in spite of being good, because God loves them, to improve them, to make them better. That is why God gives them these punishments. These are all explanations which we are familiar with. But the interesting thing why I brought in this topic is because recently I came across a book with a completely contrasting title, which says Why Good Things Happen to Good People by Stephen Post. Which means that good things also do happen to good people. Not only bad things happen, which is of course true, but then good things also happen to good people. And the approach that this author has taken is remarkable because he has quoted a lot of scientific research which has been done during the last several decades on topics which were normally considered beyond the scope of research. So what he has done is that what is essentially a good person? A good person is full of love. How does he express that love? By giving. Now, there can be many ways of giving. Giving money, giving an object, giving time, and so on and so forth. But then he has given it a little greater thought, and with an analytic mind, he has come up with 10 different ways of giving. Now, then those 10 different ways of giving, for those he has designed questionnaires by which you can assess how high a person ranks in that particular mode of giving. So, for a tendency to give in 10 different ways, for each individual you can have a score. Score is a numerical data. On the other side, what is the outcome of doing good things? Say, being full of love and giving in any one of these ways, what will be the outcome? The outcome will be we'll grow spiritually, we'll grow in consciousness, we would have fulfilled the purpose of life, but these are things which cannot be measured. But then, as a byproduct of all this, what else happens? We are happy. We are healthy. Now, happiness to some extent can be measured by questionnaires, we know. And health can be measured even better because there's so many variables. You go get this test done, that test done, and you get an idea of how healthy you are. And one indicator of health is longevity, how long the person lives. So those tests of health and how long people live, these are things which are objective and again gives you numerical data. Now, if you have numerical data on the input side, the cause, if the cause is being good, you have numerical data, and the effect is being happy and healthy, again you have numerical data, then you can analyze it statistically, and you have a piece of research which will qualify as scientific research. So that's what he has done. This is something really remarkable because this is something which was considered, these areas were considered completely beyond research. But then what is the value of doing it? Not that these areas were sorely in need of research, but the fact is that in today's world, particularly our westernized minds, have great difficulty in accepting things which have not been proved scientifically, and therefore this makes these spiritual truths also scientifically valid by presenting evidence which is acceptable in science. And how did he get into it? He got into it because early in his career as a psychologist, he came across a philanthropist, Sir John Templeton. Sir John Templeton would have been a pastor in a church if he did not have also along with his religious studies, if he did not have another talent, and that was the talent for making money by investing money. So he became a billionaire. But then his religious moorings still remained intact. So what he wanted to do with this lot of money that he made was to stimulate a lot of research to try and make religious truths scientifically valid and proven. Because he knew that is how the modern man will accept religious truths. So he sort of started stimulating all types of work, whichever was possible, on science-religion dialogue, on getting scientific evidence for religious truths and so on. And so this person met him, and Sir John Templeton was successful in stimulating this man to take it up as a mission. Probably this person himself was also ready for it. He had come into this world at that level of consciousness where this type of research suddenly struck him as a nice area to get into, and he went on to establish an institute with an unusual name, Institute for Research on Unlimited Love. And then, he got a lot of funding for this. He could raise funds, and the result was that his institute could not use all that money, and he became, along with stimulating research in his own institute, a funding agency for many places all over the US. And the result was that this type of research now what got done at many places by him, by his students in that institute, by his students who migrated to other places, and by many other scientists who got interested in it. So much of that research he has brought into this book. Of course, this is a little old book now, probably around the year 2005 or something. But then this year, he's going to release another book in November on the same topic, which will probably take it further and update it. Anyway, I will not go further on this. Let's turn to the 10 ways of giving that he has talked about. So, a good person is full of love. This love is expressed by giving, and he has come up with 10 different ways in which we can give. The first is celebration. I was rather amazed to see how can celebration be an expression of love. But then he says that celebration is gratitude expressed with a zing. You are grateful for what you have, and therefore you have a celebration. Celebration, you invite people, so you don't want to enjoy what you have received all alone. You want to share it with others, and the others who come are also happy because you are happy. So it's a sort of a connection that you build. You are happy in one another's happiness, and you enjoy and celebrate together. I think a nice thought when we are just a day away from Diwali in this season, that celebration can also be a form of giving, because it's an expression of gratitude. The second mode of giving he has come up with is generativity. Now, sounds a bit like generosity, and it includes generosity, but generativity means being generous, and particularly by nurturing people who are younger than us, the next generation. So generativity comes from generation. So nurturing the next generation. Because this is a particular form of nurturing, which of course we know normally as parental love, or the love of the teacher for the students and so on. They are all showering their love on the next generation. But then need not be confined to parents and teachers. Anybody can do it. And people seem to have a particular fascination for this type of generosity, which includes nurturing in different ways the younger generation, because we can see that they are the future, and if we want the world to be a better place, then this is how we should shower our love. This is how we should express our love, by doing something for the next generation. So that's how people go around establishing schools, colleges, and institutions where children who don't have parental love available can live in a good environment, like say the SOS Children's Villages of India and so on. So these are all different forms of generativity. And very often these places are run not by paid employees but by volunteers. And one general fact that it's brought in at many places is that it is now an established fact through all these studies that volunteering is something which not only ends up doing something for the next generation or for whomsoever for you volunteered, but the maximum beneficiary is the volunteer himself. The volunteer is a happier person, feels more fulfilled, and tends to get healthier and lives longer. This is scientifically established now through all these studies. So a sort of some encouragement for all those who volunteer at this ashram. That volunteering itself prolongs your own life. Makes you healthier and makes you live longer, and live longer a meaningful life, which means adds years to your life and life to your years. It does both, volunteering. And it's never too early to begin, because children these days are starting volunteering even in school. And that's what he also brings out. Earlier we start, the better. And there are different types of volunteering which are available also to school children, college students, and at the same time, it's never too late to begin. You can start. It has been shown through these studies that even those who volunteered at age 50 plus also tend to live longer than those who did not volunteer. There are such studies now available. And how does it help the young people who volunteer as students? It gives them a sense of self-esteem. They are less likely to get into a depression. They're less likely to commit suicide, because adolescent suicides are also a pretty sort of a spectacular sort of and depressing phenomenon these days. So these things are unlikely to happen to those who volunteer as young people. The third form of giving is forgiveness. And forgiveness, the other side of forgiveness is apology. The person who forgives someone who has hurt him. And the person who has hurt him can offer an apology. And apology is not just saying sorry. Apology is genuinely feeling that I have done something wrong and feeling remorse. Resolving that I will not do it in future. All that is a part of apology. But to forgive, it's not necessary that one should be offered an apology. You can forgive even if no apology has been offered. Some degree of anger and resentment against someone who has hurt us is natural. But it's not in our own interest not to forgive, no matter what, no matter how severe the hurt. Ultimately, our own salvation, our own peace of mind depends upon genuine forgiveness. There is no other way. This is time-tested sort of wisdom. And many people who discover it are the ones who are able to live in peace even after all the hurt and trauma that they have suffered, and are in fact able to do something which will help them overcome this trauma by giving something back. So they not only forgive, But they find this forgiveness is facilitated by giving something back to this world, and that's how they get their peace of mind. However, while genuine forgiveness can be at many levels, it can be at the mental level, that's the level of the intellect, that I don't want myself to be consumed by this hurt. I don't want that this person should continue to torture me even when this event is far back and this person is no longer near me. I don't want this to keep hurting me, because there's a tendency for these things to go on repeating in your mind again and again. So I don't want that to happen because that tortures me. I don't want this person to have the power to control me through remote control like this so many years after this person did this to me. So all this is at the intellectual level. It can be also at a deeper level, at the level of the soul or the psychic being, our deepest self. At that level also, there's genuine ground for forgiveness, because the person who hurt me is also a manifestation of the divine, an imperfect manifestation of the divine, but then I am also an imperfect manifestation. And it was one of this person's imperfections which made this person hurt me. But basically, he is also a child of the same God. This gives you a charitable way and gives you genuine forgiveness. But then, in the real world, we also have to understand that this forgiveness does not include certain things. And what is that? Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It's difficult to forget. It's not even necessary to forget. The event can remain intact without its toxicity. So forgetting is not necessarily forgiveness. Condoning, that okay, I can accept it. That way you may end up accepting a lot of evil in the world. So condoning is not the part of forgiveness. Excusing, that is, now this person can be excused, this person need not face any punishment. Now that is also not forgiveness. Trusting without reason. Trusting everybody without reason, even the person who hurt you, is not a part of forgiveness. Foregoing legal or financial reparation, that is not forgiveness. This applies particularly to couples having disharmony and going in for a divorce. That, well, I have forgiven everything, now he need not give me anything. Huh? So that is not, it's not that means that you can fight a battle in the court and also forgive. Yes, you can do that, provided you fight this battle in the court in the spirit of the Gita. And what is that? That I'm not attached to the outcome of the case, number one. Number two, I'm an instrument of God who has been placed in such a position that I'm able to fight against evil and injustice, the way Arjuna was placed. Therefore, it's a privilege that I have been entrusted with this task, I have been given these circumstances. Third, that I will do it without hatred for my opponent. The way Arjuna was advised not to hate the Kauravas and yet kill them. So if you pick it up in the in the spirit of the Gita, then even you can do that. And you can fight the legal battle also. Reconciling if it would in any way endanger the victim's safety or health. Again important, because if a woman says that I have to go on living with this husband even if he beats me frequently, because I have forgiven him for all that he had done in the past and I'm not afraid of what he will do in the future, that is not right. You can forgive and yet create a geographical distance. Then foregoing justice, which in itself requires courage and important expression of love. Now that is not forgiveness. Because you should not do anything which should make the perpetrator of evil feel that he can get away with anything. That is not forgiving. So what forgiveness is not is as important to understand as forgiveness is. And then what forgiveness is, he says that there are 4 stages. Again, the typical Western analytic mind. The first is uncovering. That is, you yourself become very clear in your mind by reflecting upon it, what is it that actually happened. Because sometimes you are so emotional that you yourself don't understand what happened, why it happened, and sort of so on. So uncover the entire episodes or the every event and background, everything surrounding the hurt. So uncovering. Second is deciding. That is, you consciously decide that now understood what happened and have decided consciously to forgive. So that decision is to be taken. And third is understanding. Understanding the other person who hurt, why he did it, what were the circumstances, what was his background. Because it's a very common observation that those who are unable to love the partner did not see much love in their own life. And so it's his background probably which was responsible. जैसे अभी भजन में कहा था ना, जिसने प्रेम जाना ही नहीं वो प्रेम करना क्या जाने, और जिसने देखा नहीं वो प्रेम करना क्या जाने. So the one who has not seen love in his life, did not receive in his life, is unlikely to develop healthy relationships later. So to understand the background of this person, why this person did what this person did. And the fourth is deepening. That is, deepening of this, that is forgiveness going to deeper levels. Understanding is itself deeper than the surface. You go further deep to the level of the soul, as we were talking. So the deepening is at the level of the soul. There's a lady called Audrey Carlson. Her daughter, around 20-year-old, was murdered by none other than her former boyfriend. Because she wanted to break up with him after learning certain things about him. And he resolved that if I can't get her, nobody will. And therefore, the only way to ensure that was to kill her. And he murdered her in her own house. He knew the house, he knew the ins and outs of the house. He went there and found an opportunity when he could shoot her. Now, this lady has been fighting a legal battle for the last more than 20 years. This happened 20 years ago. And the legal battle is still not over. Cases have a way of dragging on. He has been in jail much of this time. That's okay. But then the visits to the courts, etc., are also not very pleasant. The parents still have to continue visiting the courts. Now, what has this woman done to heal herself? In her heart, forgiven. And on the other hand, done something positive for the society. She has ended up establishing a foundation in memory of her daughter. She was interested in performing arts, so now this foundation gives scholarships to other students who are young people who are interested in performing arts. She has established in her town a club called the Happiness Club, where they have monthly talks by people, where people come and talk about happiness from different angles, including the spiritual, because that is actually the deepest and surest way by which you can get real happiness. So that type of talk she arranges in a club. And then she says that when you have intentions are good, nice things automatically happen. So when she went to a club where such a thing could happen, and she asked them, how much will you charge? They said, we'll charge nothing. When they came to know that what she'll do, she'll charge nothing. Not only will do nothing, we will make dinner available before the talk at a very concessional price. And your guests, which means there'll be one table reserved for you, you and your guests will be always free. And for all those who come, some snacks and tea and coffee will be free. Not only no charges, but so much of sort of stuff will be available free to anybody who comes to the place. Once a month, probably the club owner feels that this is his way of contributing something to the good activity that is going on. But then how has she forgiven? She says, I found that genuine forgiveness in this case was very difficult. So she found 3 substitutes for it. One is no judgment. I don't have to judge the person who did it. No expectations. I have to expect nothing from him because he has still not expressed remorse. I don't have to expect even remorse. And third, let go. That is, I don't have to decide what should happen to this. Leave it to God. He will handle him. Let go. And she says that she visualized a gas-filled balloon, which goes up. So she visually put this boy who murdered her daughter in that balloon and let that balloon go up. God, now it's up to you. He's yours. Deal with him as you like. So no judgment, no expectations, let go as a substitute for forgiveness. Comes to more or less the same thing, but then, human way of making it easier, and again the typical Western analytic mind. But it helps all of us, because after all, East or West, basically we are all the same. Our joys and sorrows are the way we feel, the way we think is not radically different. So we can relate to it easily. So we've seen 3 ways of giving: celebration, generativity, forgiveness. Fourth, courage. Now, courage itself is a way of giving, because when you decide to love and express love, sometimes it can take a lot of work, sometimes it can involve a risk. For example, you jump into water to rescue somebody who is drowning, or a fireman enters a burning building to rescue a few people who may be trapped in the building. Now, these involve risks. Or you become an activist and or a whistleblower, speak up, realizing all the risks involved. Involves risk. So you are expressing your love, but then love very often needs a lot of courage, sometimes to do what is required, and sometimes not to do what you are itching to do. Both types of courage are important. Both can require a lot of courage. You are itching to do something, but you know it is wrong, pick up the courage not to do it. That's also courage. So there are different types of courage, and they can be all expressions of love. And essentially what courage means is that if you find that to express love, something needs to be done, but what needs to be done seems to be far beyond my ordinary capacity, if you still do it, that is courage. The fifth way, humor. Again, sounds, I was a little amazed that how can humor be a way of expressing love? Forgiveness, courage, and all this one can understand. But how can humor be a way of giving? But he says that, and when you look at it, that when you meet somebody with whom you want to connect, even if the person is a stranger, what do? You smile. So smile is sort of the beginning of humor. So smile itself establishes a connection. And if it changes into laughter, if it is humor, then all the better. Because forgiveness, courage, all these things can appear dead serious material. But they don't have to be dead serious, because even if we are doing these things to change the world, let's realize that we can't change the world. Let's not try to play God. The mother has said, somewhere when she said that some people get into spirituality thinking that they can help humanity. She said, who are you to help humanity? What you do is essentially express your love for some people, maybe very large numbers, but whatever it is, you are expressing your love, and through that you are yourself growing spiritually, you are yourself realizing who you are truly at the deepest level, and what this entire creation is at the deepest level. All is a manifestation of the divine. You are moving towards that realization. It's your spiritual growth, which is in turn making you happier, and we see also healthier. So you are doing it for yourself. You are fulfilling the purpose of your own life. You are not helping anybody. If help of various types, social work, humanitarian work, revolutionary work, if these things could change the world should have changed long ago, because so many social workers and revolutionaries and religious leaders have come and gone, yet the world continues to be a place of sorrow and suffering. It has not happened, because we are nobody to really change the world. So if we sort of develop this idea, I'm doing all this to change the world, it can get dead serious stuff. To do it with a light heart. And if you do it with a light heart, you'll also retain your sense of humor. And, it actually makes it easier. It makes it easier to do good work if you retain that sense of humor. It also makes it more comfortable for the people for whom you are doing that work. Even they don't feel that, well, here is one serious person who is out to teach us what to do and what not to do. So retain that sense of humor no matter what, because what you're doing is important work, but it doesn't necessarily mean it also has to be dead serious. It can be done with a light heart. And he gives a beautiful sort of expression here that, have you seen anybody checking his watch while laughing? Nobody checks the watch when you hear a good joke. Nobody checks the watch how much time it took. Or you're watching a comedy and you laugh again and again. So you never check your watch. So what does it mean? Laughter establishes your connection with timelessness. And what is timelessness? Eternity. What is eternity? The divine. So laughter is in connection with the divine. And that's what Sri Aurobindo says, somewhere, that laughter is the music is the laughter of God. So God also laughs. He laughs through music. So laughter is not undivine. So retain your sense of humor, smile, and doesn't necessarily even have to be a joke or anything to laugh. Again, here given statistics for that only 15% of laughter in the world is in response to a joke. 85% is irrespective of jokes. So you don't have to know too many jokes to laugh or to make people laugh. There's a yoga student sitting here. She's doing the course on teaching yoga here. And they have laughter yoga. They don't necessarily have to look for any reason to laugh. They go like that and they all laugh without reason. And when they do it, it becomes infectious. Everybody else laughs and a positive energy is built up. No reason required. So laugh routine. So humor can be a way of giving, expressing your love to others and expressing your love to yourself, establishing a connection with the divine. Number 6, respect. Now, respect is important because sometimes people whom we love, we feel don't deserve respect. For example, if you love your child, you think that, well, the child has to respect me as a parent, I don't have to respect the child. Or, as the social situation, husbands think that I love my wife, but I don't have to respect her. Respect is not necessary. But respect is important. And because without respect, love can become coercive. Whether it's the child or whether it is the partner, if you love but you don't have respect, then what you think is that the child should do exactly what I want, because what I want the child to do is an expression of love. My partner should become a carbon copy of me, should mold herself the way I want her to be, let her be as I want her to be. So love can become coercive without respect. And again, respect can have grades. And out of these 4 grades, 3 have been studied scientifically again. 4th one, he says, can't be studied. Now, what is the first level of respect? Tolerance. Tolerance means that you are not very happy doing it, but all the same, you feel there's no other way, so I have to tolerate the imperfections of this person. So that is tolerance. Second level is civility, which means that I don't have to be rude, I will always have to be polite. The mother also said that there's never any excuse for rudeness, for being rude. So, civility. The third level is acceptance, that is accepting the person as the person is. It's important not only for partners, it's very important also for children. Acceptance of the child as the child is, because the child is a distinct individual, different and unique in its own way. Not only that, the child is not at the same stage of life as we are, and we may be sort of trying to push the child towards a stage of maturity which will take time. So trying to impose our way of looking at things, what we think is the right thing to do, is not really something which expresses our respect for the child. So to respect the child, we have to respect anyone whom we love, let that person be as the person is. And which means that this love should be unconditional. It should not depend upon that person fulfilling certain conditions or expectations that we have from the person. Not only it has to be unconditional, it also has to be non-judgmental. We don't have to judge the person because of those differences. So that is what respect is. So first level is tolerance, second level is civility, third is acceptance. What is the fourth level? The fourth level is reverence. That, he says, can't be studied scientifically because that is at the deeper spiritual level. Reverence comes from seeing this other person also as a manifestation of the divine. Just like us, an imperfect manifestation, doesn't matter if we are differently imperfect. So that is reverence. So respect. So this is our way of expressing our love. One can be one way of expressing love. Number 7, compassion. Now, compassion has 2 components, come and passion. Come refers to with, togetherness, Doctors very often write, this with this, used to come, which means to think with. And passion is not only passion, but also the root is in suffering, which means together we suffer. I suffer with you, which means if you are suffering, I also suffer. And then I don't have to just suffer, feel bad, I have to express it by doing something about it. So when you do something through compassion, that is a way of expressing love to somebody. And It does good to the person to whom you are compassionate. It does good to us also. It has a very calming effect. It connects us with the people whom you are compassionate to and generates positive emotions overall in us. And then the eighth, loyalty. Loyalty is love expressed in time, over time, no matter what. And that applies particularly to partners, but then doesn't have to be restricted to partners. It can be also for a child, particularly child with special needs. And I've come across parents who have spent their whole life revolving around just one child because the child had special needs. That was their sadhana. That is what contributed to their spiritual growth. That is what made their life meaningful. But then they have done it. But then it requires loyalty, which is not easy. It's always easy to hand over the care to some professional, to some institution, and so on. But many people have taken personal interest and seen to it that their commitment to a child, even if the child has special needs, remains total as long as they live. So loyalty can be all an expression of love. Then ninth is listening, just listening. And he has given the example of a person who, as a result of a road accident, became quadriplegic. He was a psychologist by qualification. But that did not prevent him from, while he was lying down in the hospital bed, knowing that he'll never be able to use his limbs properly, does not prevent him from contemplating suicide. I don't know whether it was some sixth sense by which a nurse sensed it, or whether it was just serendipity, that while he was lying in the bed late in the evening, a nurse came and asked him, "Are you a psychologist?" He said, "Yes." And then she said, "Is it normal for some people to contemplate suicide?" She didn't realize that he himself is contemplating that. But actually, she was also probably contemplating it. So she asked him, "Is it normal for people to sometimes contemplating suicide?" He said, "Yes." And then she said, "Can I talk to you?" So she said, "Yes." So she pulled a chair and sat by his bedside, and for a few hours just went on talking about all the difficulties she had faced in life, which sort of would justify why she's thinking of ending her life. And he said that he didn't have to speak much, he was just listening to her. And at the end of it, she seemed to feel much better, and I think she had given up the idea of committing suicide. That's when I realized that I don't have to be able to move my limbs to do something. I can just listen to people. The way I, even by lying in the bed quietly, I could listen to her and help her. So that's when he changed his mind. I will not commit suicide. I'll continue to listen to people. At least that's something I can do. And he realized his powers as a therapist, that he didn't have to use his limbs. So why end my life? I can still be useful. Feeling useful, having a purpose in life is what keeps us alive. But then what helps us give that meaning and purpose to life is expressing our love. And listening can be one way of expressing. And listening is more than just hearing. You know. There are many terms where we can hear. One is hearing but not listening, not registering really what is being said. इसको बोलते हैं एक कान से सुन के दूसरे से निकाल दिया. The other is hearing quite attentively, but not really to listen or empathize, but with the idea, as soon as this person finishes, what will I say? That is another form of hearing in which you are attentive, but you are basically thinking of how I'll prove that I'm smarter than him, or how I'll prove him that he's wrong and I'm right. So you are listening, what will I say as soon as this person stops speaking? That's another way of, that's also not really properly listening empathetically. The third way of listening is listening attentively, feeling completely relaxed, not keeping too much in mind how much time has passed, because these things take time, and all the time focusing on this person, if possible sending positive vibrations to the person, vibrations of love, irrespective of the person, what the person is saying, even if the person is opening up and confessing to having done many wrong things, which also happens in counseling sessions. you still don't judge the person, you still continue to send those loving vibrations to the person. So when you do that, that is listening. And sometimes it requires use of more than one sense. It not only requires your ears and your heart to be listening, it also requires eye contact. It also requires sometimes a loving touch. So all that is a part of listening. So in a sense, sort of listening is attentive, affectionate, empathetic presence. That is what we have to provide. That's one way of giving. Then, the 10th way of giving was also something which I found a little surprising: creativity. If you are endowed with some creative sort of gifts, you have some gifts of creativity, be it in art, music, dance, drama, whatever it is, you can use that also to express your love to others. There was an opera singer, Emma Calway. She was performing in the theater one day. She was a single mother. She was performing in the theater, and after one part was over, she suddenly felt overwhelmed by a sense of sort of paralysis, as if her body is getting paralyzed, and she couldn't dance. And she told the organizers, "I can't dance anymore." But they literally had to lift her and bring her to the stage, and somehow she managed. She got a lot of accolades and all that also after that. But then what happened was, it seems to be some sort of an intuitive communication. When she returned home, she found that her only daughter, who was at home, had been caught in a fire accident and were dead. So she was getting that intuition that as if her daughter is dying, and that's why she suddenly felt paralyzed. But then now she was completely shattered, and she started contemplating suicide. Many people told her to go and see Swami Vivekananda. She was in Chicago, and he was in Chicago those days. So they told her to go and see him. First she brushed aside, what will he do? Then, she realized that unconsciously she would start walking in the direction of the house where he was living, and then go near the house and come back. She did that 3 or 4 times. Ultimately, she felt compelled and picked up the courage, maybe whatever you may say, to actually go inside. Swami Vivekananda was in a state of meditation. She sat down on a chair near him for him to come out of meditation. But then with his eyes closed, he said, "How much sorrow do you bring to this room, my child?" He sensed it. And then it goes that he told her, "No, you don't have to die. God has given you a gift. This gift is the way you are meant to give joy to others. Continue giving that joy. That is the purpose of your life. So to dance, continue dancing. That is how. You are not meant to die. God has given you this gift with a purpose. That is what will make you heal." That's what healed her ultimately. So creativity can also be used as an expression of love. So now you see that if we revisit the title, Why Good and Bad Things Happen to All the People, is that the fact is that good and bad things happen to good and bad people. One could probably also write a book on why good things happen to bad people, if we look at good and bad in the usual way, because a lot of people who are very rich and famous and powerful don't seem to be very good. So that happens. So we can also probably write a book on that. But the point is that good and bad is relative and subjective. What happens to us is basically events and circumstances, events which we perceive as pleasant and events which we perceive as unpleasant. And this is one way of looking at them. Another way to look at it is that they're both opportunities for spiritual growth. We can grow through fortune, we can grow through misfortune, we can grow through both, and that's why they are both given to us. And if only one was given to us, again, that will not really help. If we had only good things happening to us, we may get so lost in the amusing and entertaining aspects of life that we forget what the genuine purpose of life is. And if only bad things happen to us in life, we will be so dejected and disappointed, we'll start contemplating suicide. What keeps us going is a mixture of both, because we need both. So that is a dispassionate way of looking at it. And if we look at it that way, then we just look at them as situations, circumstances, that have been given by the divine to us with a purpose to make us live a meaningful life. So that's a dispassionate and positive way of looking at things, and that is what gives us samatvam. Samatvam is not just equanimity. Samatvam is accepting everything with equal delight. So we can accept everything happily and with equal delight only if we are able to see this, at least this one positive thing in everything that happens to us, no matter how negative. Now, this person who has written this book, Why Good Things Happen to Good People, he has not only given 10 different ways of giving, he has also pointed out that you can score yourself, and nobody will probably score very high on all the 10, and it's not necessary. You will know what are the ways of giving that come more naturally to you. So, one way, at the most 2 or 3 ways are enough. You don't have to give in all the 10 ways. We can give only the way we are able to give. And there are 4 domains of giving, he says. 4 domains of giving: family, friends, community, and humanity. Which means that some people will give only to a limited number of people within the family, the way I was saying, to a child with special needs. Friends, a little wider circle. Community, the society in which you live, still wider circle. Humanity, still wider. But then humanity, showering your love on all humanity should not be confused with saying that just, I love all humanity. Because that's very easy to say. Then how can one say, what is the practical expression of love for humanity? Essentially it means doing it on a very large scale. And to give you one example, again stories, drive home the point better, a real person. Her name is Christina Noble. This lady is Christina Noble, around 90-year-old now. She grew up in a very poor family in Ireland. 8 siblings sleeping in the same room. On top of that, a father who was an alcoholic and physically abusive, both to the wife and to the children. This girl, Christina, was the eldest sibling. When she was about 8-year-old, their mother died. And the father knew he'll not be able to look after all these 8 siblings on his own. So he distributed them to different institutions. When this girl, so the siblings were separated. When this girl was 16-year-old, the institution where she was taken care of thought that now she's grown up enough, she can be on her own. She need not be in this institution. So they gave her £5 and told her, now you're on your own. They informed her father. The father dutifully arrived at the railway station, received her, and then took these £5 from her and told her that I'll get some change for the bus fare. With those £5, he entered a pub. After that, she never saw her father. The father never came back. Probably he had a few drinks and then disappeared from the back door of the pub. Forgot the daughter. Daughter was left penniless, standing on the road. How many hours she waited, she can't remember. Then she finally gave up and started sleeping in parks and pavements, all sorts of places, begging for food. And while she was sleeping in a public park one day, she was gang raped. And then somehow she discovered that one of her brothers was somewhere in England. She went there, and that's when she got some peace and started living with him. She got married, she got children. But then she got some visions of that she should be helping children in Vietnam. She went there, and against many odds, including some legal battles, she started working for those children. And so this is, what I was saying, loving humanity, what it means. Now you can see that what she does. She built a hospital, schools, and a shelter. Her foundation, she has built up a foundation, Christina Noble Foundation. Her foundation has helped more than 200,000 destitute children in Vietnam and Mongolia. Now this is helping humanity. Goes beyond family, friends, and community. So this is helping humanity. But then she has overcome all the trauma, and the trauma was not ordinary. All the trauma, and she says 3 things basically helped her, which overcome the trauma. One was she luckily got a good psychiatrist and psychologist. Not very clear from this description whether it was 2 persons, one psychologist and one psychiatrist, or the same person. But whatever, that is immaterial. This person was someone who was a patient listener. So once again, gave his or her love by listening. Patient listener and understood her. That is one thing. So listening by a good therapist. Second thing that helped her was that she started writing down her own autobiography. Ventilation, by writing down. Her autobiography is understandably now a bestseller. Bestseller. So she wrote down her. But more than these things, finding a good therapist and writing her autobiography, what helped her the most is, she says, the work that she did for the children, giving back. That's what helped her the most in healing. So if she's walking in the streets of Vietnam, children know her so well. So many children will, Tina Mama, Tina Mama, Tina Mama. Christina has become Tina. She's mother to all of them. That is how it has helped her the most. The love of these children. 200,000 children she has helped by now. And she has a foundation which probably will continue even after she's gone from this world. It's a big organization. A big budget foundation. So he says there are 10 ways of giving and 4 domains of giving, which gives you 40 ways of giving in a way. Yeah? Choose the ones which suit you best and start giving. And that's how you express your love. So 40 modes of giving. Now what will be the outcome? The outcome of this will be growth of consciousness and fulfillment of the purpose of life. That is guaranteed 100%. You'll also get some peace of mind. There's a pretty high guarantee for that too. One will have health and longevity, reasonable guarantee, but not 100%. Huh? One can die young. One may have a disease. All that can happen. But reasonable guarantee of health and longevity based on statistics. And whether only good things, so-called good things, will happen in life to the person, no guarantee at all. No guarantee. So which means that there's an outcome, there's a descending scale of guarantee. Which means that whether good things happen or bad things happen doesn't depend upon how you have lived. There's no guarantee that only good things will happen or only bad things happen. Well, probably both will happen. But what is guaranteed by being good is that you will feel fulfilled, the purpose of life would have been fulfilled, and you will have peace of mind no matter what. That is what is ensured. And the essence is giving, and giving is an expression of love. And he says at one place that if love were a drug, there would be TV ads on it, and give back will be advertised with much greater vigor than Prozac. Prozac, you know, is one of the mood elevators. So give back will be advertised much more vigorously. It will be more effective and no side effects at all, or side effects will be all positive, like being happier and healthier, living longer. These will be the side effects. So that's what will happen. So the essence of it is love. And love is not only a sentiment, it has to be expressed by giving. So we can all understand love, and to make progress further, we should love more, intensify it, love more people, widen the circle of your love, and love better. Love better means purify the love. Now what is purification of love? Purification of love means making it get rid of all those impurities which go with love at the mental level. What are those impurities or imperfections, if not impurities? Contaminations, adulteration, or whatever you like. But love often gets mixed up with those things. What are those? It becomes conditional, expectations, judgment, possessiveness, exclusivity. This person should love only me and nobody else, or I should love only this person and nobody else. jealousy, exclusivity, at the other side of it is jealousy, and sometimes sexual impurity, egoistic demands of different types. If I'm doing this for you, you do this for me. Now, all these things are quite often associated with pretty genuine and sincere love also. We rid them as much as we can by working on ourselves. So love more people, and love better. And how will all this love come from? The underlying perception of love is oneness. Only if we feel one with others, we can love. We love truly those who we feel are the same as us. So we come to the last word which we get from Sri Aurobindo towards the end of Savitri. To feel love and oneness is to live. So to live a life full of love, which has been inspired by oneness, is the way to live. That is what makes life worth living. That's what makes life meaningful.